Is WWE dropping clues that CM Punk is coming back to WWE? Let's talk about it. Hey, friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to Wrestle Juice. So eagle-eyed and eagle-eared viewers are putting together the pieces that CM Punk is coming back to WWE based on some clues that WWE seems to be dropping in their programming. Last night on Monday Night Raw, Michael Cole and Seth Rollins had a promo bit inside the ring to hype up the Shinsuke Nakamura match that he's got coming up at Fastlane this weekend. And in that promo, Michael Cole said the following: "How about manipulator? Puppeteer at times, but it seems like this time around you're actually the puppet." And a lot of people are like, whoa, wait a second. Whoa, hold on a second. That sounds like CM Punk's 2005 Ring of Honor promo where he said, "This is my stage. This is my theater. You are my puppets, and I pull those marionette strings, and I use your emotions, and I toy with them because honestly, I get off on it." So people are saying, whoa, wait a second. He said puppeteer. He said manipulator. That sounds a lot like the CM Punk promo from 2005 Ring of Honor. And I think maybe in a vacuum, this wouldn't be that big of a deal. But over the past month or so, for example, Cody Rhodes said that Jey Uso is, quote, "one of the very best in the world and deserves a second chance," which best in the world could be used to describe Punk because it's a phrase that he's very synonymous with, and be given a second chance could mean a second chance with WWE. Also, in a recent promo a little bit after that, Seth Rollins had said, quote, "My 100% makes me the best in the world." Of course, best in the world has been used to describe a couple people. Chris Jericho said it of himself, and Daniel Bryan used to call himself the best in the world as well. So that doesn't necessarily mean CM Punk is coming back, but let's take a look at other possible clues to suggest that CM Punk might be coming back. Let's talk about Seth Rollins. He had talked about CM Punk. After all the brawl out stuff, he was asked by Nick Houseman what he thought about CM Punk. Rollins went off on the guy, said he's a jerk, he's a cancer, nobody wants to work with him, we're finding this out now, we had already found it out here at WWF. He had later said that he felt kind of bad about the whole CM Punk situation because Punk did so much for him in his career, but that they had a falling out and he wasn't a huge fan of the guy. That doesn't necessarily mean that Seth Rollins wouldn't be open to working with him. I would think he had beef with Matt Riddle over comments that Matt Riddle's then wife had said about Becky Lynch, and evidently Matt Riddle apologized to him, made good on that, and then they did in fact work with each other. Of course, Matt Riddle's now out of the company, but that's not really on Seth Rollins. So it's entirely possible that Seth Rollins would still work with CM Punk, because if CM Punk got signed with the company, Seth Rollins is probably one of the guys they would go to and say, hey, can you work with Punk? Much like they did with Cody Rhodes. He's also feuded with Logan Paul, a guy who I feel like he probably legitimately was not huge on him coming to the company. Then again, he beat him at WrestleMania and went on his podcast. So maybe there's much ado about nothing there. Another thing that people point out when it comes to these clues, quote unquote clues dropped by WWE, is the fact that in the lead up to Cody Rhodes debuting in WWE, or returning to WWE, I should say, there is a bunch of sort of, hints about that as well. Commentators would drop, the word dashing throughout their language, and there was a couple other ones. I forget exactly what they were, but there were hints that Cody Rhodes was showing up. So this could be similar to that if WWE has some arrangement with CM Punk, or if they think they might have a good chance of signing CM Punk whenever if he has a no-compete clause, comes up. Speaking of which, very recently, the first time Punk actually showed up after he got released from AEW was on doing commentary for the MMA stuff that he does. I think it's called Cage Fury, something or another. And he said he has about 2 months. About 2 months where he's got a lot of nothing going on. And a lot of people are speculating, oh, that must be the amount of time that he has basically on a no-compete from AEW. That's never really been confirmed, but it was very conspicuous that he said there was a 2-month time frame. Well, 2 months from then would put us around Survivor Series, which is in Chicago this year. And that would be kind of huge if CM Punk made his debut there in Chicago. There's another higher up in WWE who's recently talked about CM Punk, and of course that's Shawn Michaels. He said this: well, of course we'd welcome him here in NXT. My guess is he probably would go to main roster, but I always enjoyed working with Phil. I've always liked him, and I understand he's a different kind of cat and can sometimes be challenging to get along with people, but that's probably why I like him, because I suffer from the same thing. But still, obviously, that's for people to decide higher up on the food chain than I am. He's a guy that does numbers and makes money. I think that would be a risk-reward ratio that I'm sure from a company standpoint they'd have to consider. But when it comes to would we take him in NXT and have him on our television, are you kidding me? Of course I would. I just don't think anybody would let me. This is interesting because obviously Shawn Michaels is close with Triple H, who along with Nick Khan and Vince McMahon make those kinds of decisions there in WWE. Of course, HBK would love to have Punk on NXT because it would super boost their ratings, but he'd probably be, as he says, going to main roster. But it's just interesting that he talked about him and said nice things about him that might reflect what the higher-ups in WWE would think, given that he's got a good relationship with Vince McMahon, Nick Khan, and Triple H. So what do I think? Do I think the guy's coming back? Do I think these are clues? I kind of feel like they're not clues. I think the puppeteer thing, that's a bit of a stretch. I really do kind of feel that way. Now, what does Punk have in his favor? Well, WWE, they do have a TV rights negotiations thing that's going on right now. People seem to think that there's been a deal struck with the USA. No, I think that was made official that USA has SmackDown coming whenever the current deal is over. Monday Night Raw, it's still up for grabs. And the fact that it's still up for grabs might lend us to believe that WWE is trying to juice their ratings as much as they can. Right now is a tough time because of Monday Night Football. But come November, if you bring CM Punk into the company, that will juice your ratings for a certain period of time. It will. I mean, come on. That's just fact. So that would play into their favor when it comes to negotiating wherever Raw is going to land. Is that going to be on Fox? Is that going to be back on USA? Remains to be seen. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like he's burned enough bridges in WWE that Vince McMahon would probably see that as not great for his company. On the other hand, he had a high-profile run in AEW, as did Cody and Jade Cargill. So maybe Vince McMahon would think, well, we'll bring him in here. He'll probably be on best behavior because he'll want to prove that it's not him, it's everybody else. It's not him, it's the elite. It's not him, it's Tony Khan. And he'll be on best behavior. He has a pre-existing relationship with CM Punk. Obviously, that went south. But Vince McMahon, as we've seen in the past with a million other people, is willing to do business if he thinks it's best for the company. And this might be best for the company if he gets along with everybody and is not a disruptive influence backstage. He did go backstage to Raw during his time away from AEW. He was hoping to get signed by WWE, according to the reports out there, and he went to go try to make amends with people backstage at Raw before he was told to kick rocks. So, I don't know. I kind of feel like if it's up to CM Punk, he'd go to WWE. The only problem is it's not up to him. It's up to Nick Khan, Vince McMahon, and Triple H. So, we'll see what'll happen. I don't feel like these are clues necessarily being set in place to signify that he's coming into town, because I just feel like it's all a bit of a stretch. It's not sort of, I don't know, exact enough. It's not specific enough. These are sort of loose terms that are thrown around by wrestlers. Best in the world has been used to describe any number of wrestlers. They call John Cena right now the greatest of all time. And as far as the puppeteer stuff is concerned, that's a little bit of a stretch. Or is it? Maybe not. Where's my tinfoil hat? It was around here somewhere. So what do you guys think? Do you think CM Punk is coming back to WWE? Do you think these are clues to suggest that Punk is coming back? Do you think WWE is doing this intentionally? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and the notify bell so you always know when there's new, fresh Wrestle Juice. We'll see you guys around.